I was suffering from dehydration and exhaustion. That's not the Buddy Calhoun I see in the mirror.
Although it would be if you stepped out of the shower. Now, Ms. Brookheimer, you're not only Buddy Calhoun's campaign manager, but you're also his fiancée, and congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you, Danny.
Now, wouldn't you concede that when your fiancé exposed himself to a policewoman that he hurt his chances of becoming elected?
I've seen the video, of course.
You have. Can we roll that video one more time for our audience?
And I try not to think of the politics of it all.
And here's the moment where he exposes himself.
That's right, yes. But everyone, yeah, that's... But for myself, I'm happiest when Buddy and I are on the couch.
Can we play that again?
Eating popcorn and watching Downton Abbey.
In the interest of full disclosure, Ms. Brookheimer and I did have a brief relationship when she was a much younger woman.
You did?
Thank you to you both. We'll be right back.
We're clear.
Ames, who's your favorite character on Downton?
I don't know. Abby, I guess.
Yep.
Keep it going. Let's hear it. Get him going.
Yeah.
You want to hear him do it again? We can do it. Oh, okay.
God, no,
okay.
no, I'm not one of those actors that does it for the applause, believe it or not.
Come on.
I'm not.
But the applause is
I'll
nice
take
every
it.
now and then.
No, I like it. I just don't need it. Anyway.
Seems like you know.
Jesus.
What are we on? 5, 6 seasons now?
This is season 6.
6.
Yeah.
I love Veep.
Good.
With all of my heart, I love this show
Thank
so
you.
much. It's a
Thank
show that I told you in the green room that I think you think I'm twisted, but it's a show that I love these characters. I want to live in this show with them.
You said you wanted to live in this show, and I did. I got really maternal and scared for you.
I wish more people were like these characters.
No,
sometimes,
you don't.
In terms of their blunt, hilarious honesty
well, that's
with each
true.
other.
No, that is refreshing, and I, you know, yeah, I do wonder what it would be like in, you know, if we all. Well, I don't know. If we all said what was just on our minds, I suppose we could all get in a lot of trouble. So,
if for nothing else, these characters can all take a funny jab. Which
yeah,
I
think they just aren't paying attention.
That's true.
I think they just don't care. Once the other person's talking, it's like, I'm not listening. Yeah, that's probably how they survive it.
So when you started this show, Armando Iannucci was the showrunner, and you had done In the Loop with him, which I love In the Loop. That was such a great movie. What did he tell you about your character and about the show when you guys first started?
What we knew was that Amy was her chief of staff. We figured out that she was a pretty young chief of staff for a vice president, so therefore she had to have been a wunderkind of some sort. And so we kind of, you know, flew from there. I think Amy was always a little bit in over her head as a result of Selena kind of keeping her around for loyalty's sake. So, yeah, it's just been a lot of desperation.
You know, speaking of desperation, I find this season to be the most desperate because they're not in power anymore.
It's an identity crisis.
Yeah,
that's what we've been saying. Yeah, it's like it's a collective identity crisis.
It's a much darker season than I feel like we've seen, even though the seasons have been fairly dark. This one in particular really goes for the jugular.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, she even, there's such a great line, it's one of my favorite lines of this season, where Selena even describes her depression, you know, when she says, I'm not depressed, Amy, I'm just, feel like I'm in a thick, deep fog, and everybody disappoints me, and nothing ever goes right, and don't say that it's not because, it's because I'm not sleeping because I'm getting 14 hours a day. Like I mean, there you go, like that sets up this, it's kind of the comedy of depression.
Now, are we working our way towards, because this season a fair amount of the characters are kind of in separate places, doing different things. Yes. Are we working towards bringing them together, or is this kind of the way that the show may function for a while, which is that
it functions this way, in this shape, for a good amount of the season. But I will, you know, the best little tease I can give for where we're going is that, you know, as we've already started to see, they kind of can't get enough of each other. So, yeah, like, you'll see them in the same room at some point.
Now, in your opinion, is Jonah at this point influenced, modeled off of Paul Ryan?
I mean, you know, what I'll say is, I mean, I think that that's certainly not we can't throw that one out as a possibility. But just in the greater sense that it's a ridiculous congressman. Yes. So yes.
Of which there are so many right
yes.
now.
Yes, and he's definitely, I think there are many Paul Ryans, and I think that Jonah is a perfect archetype and somehow evolved so naturally into that archetype that has shown itself. It's like this modern day, just this modern day charlatan, and our show is inspired certainly by all of the characters that have like ever existed in politics in the real world, but never do we really just solely parody one human being. It's everybody is fodder for absurdity.
Do you ever look at certain people for certain scenes or certain episodes where it'll be like, well, this moment is kind of like this person?
Yeah, I think even since the beginning, I'll say, like, even when we started the series, Armando Iannucci had just finished reading that enormous, I think, multi-volume book on LBJ. So it's, it's always been very grounded in history and in what is even modern history, like what's going on, what's happening. There are certainly episodes that are like, oh, doesn't that remind you of when, there was when like Hillary was Secretary of State and she like had a gaffe with a gift, and certainly that inspired one of our scenes, and I know that this year a lot of Amy's kind of behavior around Selena is inspired by Band, who was Clinton's bagman for a while, and then he became very instrumental in the CGI, the Clinton Global Initiative. And so I know that like there are certain like kind of urban legends slash actual truths that about stories about the way that Doug Band behaved around Clinton when he like had a heart attack or something. And so it's like, yeah, we pull from everywhere.
Do you find that
it's a long way of saying we pull from everywhere?
I've spoken to some other cast members, and they say that people that are actually in politics always view the show as a sort of satire of the other party of which they are not affiliated with, and that sometimes even sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I've heard that people they've experienced that. Everybody I've met who works there. And on the Hill, whether they're elected officials or not, I think they even know that we're poking fun at them too. Like I think that they find a therapy in the fact that somebody notices that this is like the absurdities of their lives,
And the absurdity of their lives, is in the Loop as well as in the Veep, which is the idea that most of it is PR spin. That most of a politician's job is PR spin, and a lot of the identity crisis of this season is that no one gives a shit about them.
Yeah.
So there's no one to spin for.
Yeah,
anymore.
it's true, and they're so used to that, and they're so used to mattering, and now they just have to watch the news like everybody else, and I think that's like kind of the funny thing about a modern democracy, isn't it? Is that if those are the people watching are the ones voting, then that's what I need to try and control in some way, shape, or form, which is, of course, hilarious and rife for satire because you can't control things.
Amy, when we start this season, she's sort of a campaign manager for. Is he? I forgot. Is he a congressman or running for governor?
He's running for governor.
Running for governor.
Yes.
Bit of a dummy.
Yeah.
He's sort of attached his who is attached their wagon to who?
I don't know if he's a dummy. I don't know if he's a dummy or if he's just guileless. But then, of course, we find out that he has plenty of skeletons as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that he's a dummy. Because when we met him, he kind of knew about electoral law to an extent. But anyway, sorry.
Do you think that he's attached himself to her or she's attached himself to him?
I think she attached herself to him. I think it was a genuine attempt at falling in love for her. I really do. I know, isn't it just painful as can be? And I, if we watch her, the last episode of season 5, that's when really she's kind of like, oh yeah, I just came back from Nevada and it's really nice. And she kind of even wants Selena to ask her about it because she really wants to say it was like, I'm falling in love.
Well, she so desperately wants to prove to them that she has substance and meaning in her life.
Yeah, or prove to herself that like she's capable, of of I don't know, achieving some other type of goal that that society has presented to her. But yeah, and like let's face it, it's a year time lapse, so a lot can happen in a year. So I think we catch them at the end of their devolution as a couple, but we can fill in the blanks as we please of what happened in that year. I think that she gave it the college try.
Do you view Amy as a good person that do you try to think of her as a good person so you can play her that way? I mean, I know
yes, yes. I do believe, that it is important for an actor to be his or her character's advocate.
Whereas I don't feel like Reed Scott has to do that with Dan. Like, he can kind of just be like, Dan's a cynical asshole, and I can just run with that.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, we all have the ability to remove ourselves from the actual moment and the actual person that we're playing, from the person who we are. And, some are better than others, but we. So I'm sure, I can as myself look as an audience member at Amy and be like, oh my God, she just has no respect for anybody, and what's wrong with her, and just get over yourself. But while I'm playing her, it is my job to be her advocate and to see things from her point of view, and to react and behave as she would in her I think best sense of herself. So she fails at that plenty, but that's the text.
They write you guys some unbelievably filthy, hilarious, wonderful lines. I think on a recent late night show, each of you had to say what your favorite one was. Did that happen?
I think what we talked about that day, that was kind of that was a little bit of like a catharsis. We all got to talk about the insults that our characters had about our actual appearance and what hurt our feelings the most throughout the series.
What was it? What was yours, if you don't mind me asking?
It took a while for me to get into that. Poor somebody they've really gone after Tim, who plays Jonah, who, by the way, is a very handsome and lovely man.
He's actually like a male model.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And RuPaul, by the way, has an enormous crush on him, may I just say. We've talked about this. But yeah, everybody's really kind of gotten it. But this year, and this wasn't even in the original script, but it came into the edit. I guess they were like, Dan is caught with beefy blonde. And I was like, oh, but then of course, I had, I was still the actress playing Amy was, she had just given birth to a baby, and she was, breastfeeding, and so yeah, she was a little beefier.
You poor thing. You were in a vulnerable place.
Totally.
So even the joke, you were like, "Hey guys, I just had a baby," and they're like,
"Oh man, now it's out there." But it's but yeah, they went for it, and that's fine, because I guess it's easier for me to deal with that, because it's of course there was a reason. You know what I mean? It's not I just ate a truck full of potato chips because I was I don't know, sad or something. At least I had a good reason that I could justify to myself for being beefy in that scene.
What's been your
I'm sorry that I'm
What's been your favorite insult to throw at somebody else?
I liked, there was a while ago, the neat thing about Amy is sometimes she actually goes for their intellect. So a while ago she said to Mike, he's like, oh gosh, I'm gonna muck this quote up, and I'm sure that it's online somewhere. But he's like, do you know what the big problem is? And she's like, is it going to be twisted into a bad metaphor by you? Something like that. So I think that those are the insults I like, are when she kind of jabs at people's incompetence or intellect. Usually it's at Mike, unfortunately.
Do you think Amy might be the smartest of all of them?
No, I think that they actually. I think that Ben. I love how we're just referencing. It's
happened with
I'm analyzing. We're at the MoMA, and I'm analyzing what the trajectory of the flag means, that the energy of this light is going to be. Yeah.
I'm going to say it's impossible not to do this with this poster, because the last cast member we had here was Matt Walsh, and the two of us the interview just ended up us just being like, well, what about this person?
Yeah,
What about this?
it's
just
kind
like
of
it's
awesome.
impossible not to do it.
I love it though. I love it, and it's and I will point out how brilliantly Kevin Dunn is bringing the energy that way, so that it's not all. Anyway, that was what we talked about that, and I was so proud of him for doing it. But yeah, I think Ben is Ben. I mean, he's earned every single stripe he's got, and so therefore he's very smart. And I think Amy really looks to Ben as a mentor, because of course he was a chief of staff as well. At the same time, for the president, as she was the chief of staff for vice president. So I think that there's a kinship there. I think that Dan is very wily and very intelligent. We've both talked about how they were in the same educational circles as well.
I just think that they're going to end up together.
Well, you know what? From your mouth to the writer's ears.
Like an odd will they or won't they with the two of them. And eventually both of them are just like, oh, fuck it.
Just give it. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Poor Jonah's not smart. Jonah, I don't think is smart. But Richard, we know has like 100 PhDs, and is terribly
Zero
bright.
common sense.
Yeah. Again, guileless, and really doesn't use any of that brain power in trying to think that anybody is being anything other than completely genuine. He doesn't think people are playing games, because he's not playing games. And that's what's so beautiful about him. But he's obviously very, very intelligent. Kent, very intelligent. And Gary, I think people like to think that he's not, but again, we need to remember that he studied physics, because in the first season, he explains the difference between solids and liquids, and how soup is not a liquid.
This is amazing.
And it's the solids suspended in liquid, and and he was obsessed with the space program, and so everybody got here. In DC, like the White House Correspondents' Dinner isn't called like the nerd prom for for everybody's health. Like it's a nerdy place, because people actually do have to have degrees and have gone through some type of schooling and learning in order to get some of these jobs. So not anymore.
Now this administration, or the administration when it was actually in office, befuddled, bumbling, stupid, failure. Do you think they would do better than the administration we have right now?
I do.
Do you think this comic farce of an administration would do better?
Yes, it's almost. We've almost got proof. When we can when Spicer gave his first press conference, Matt Walsh, the actor who plays Mike, was inundated with like emails and social medias, posts and all this of just like, who knew that someone could actually be worse than Mike? And it's true, and it's undebatable.
It's across the board.
It's undebatable.
Yeah.
And Selena does have like 20 years of political experience under her belt. So, and we've watched her politic her way into many. She got them out of the shutdown. She's Tibet, all of it.
Yeah, Tibet.
Hey, man.
Before I turn it over to audience questions, you brought this up in the green room, and I don't think I knew this, because you're jumping on in this. Can we talk about it?
Oh yeah, please. Yeah.
So you're jumping on in this season, right?
I'm getting to guess. I'm recurring on *Halt and Catch Fire*.
I love *Halt and Catch Fire*. One of the most.
That you do.
One of the most underrated shows on television.
So underrated.
Criminally underwatched, I'm gonna say.
Criminally underrated, underwatched, all of it. It's guys, it's so good. And it's thank goodness we are in this age of television where we can binge, where we can go and see something that maybe we didn't catch from the beginning, and just watch the canon of what they've been building, because it's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous show. They just explore the human condition in ways that I think are so pure. It's a pure show. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I got to turn over to audience questions.
Okay.
Who has a question? Right here.
Yeah. Hey, so you guys switched showrunners midstream, and it was pretty seamless for like the audience members. And I guess my question is, going from Armando to David, was it different for you guys as actors and actresses? Was the vibe different? How did things change?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's definitely different just because it's different people, it's different leadership, different process. But you're right. I agree with you. We even felt from the day one, episode 1 of the 5th season, when the shift happened, that the tone was really well preserved. I really do take my my hat off to Dave and all of his writers for really running with what we had already established and taking the things that they love about it and letting those things blossom. So yeah, it's different because it's just different people. It's just that's like kind of just a math problem, but it's but it still feels like our characters and our you go to work with the same brilliant people every day and yeah, so it's a natural journey.
I love Armando Iannucci's work on the first few seasons and on In the Loop, but I will say personally, the first season that David Mandel, right?
Yeah.
David Mandel came in to showrun.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite seasons of television of all time.
Wow, that's so great.
So funny, so mean.
Well, and they got Jonah so well. I mean, Jonah, that 5th season Jonah with the uncle and with, oh my God,
the mother.
Peter McNichol. I mean, it's like this. I mean, my God, shooting himself in the foot. No, he actually shot himself in the foot, man. Like, I mean, it's brilliant. The focus group with Jonah.
Selina's mother episode was just like one of
Beautiful.
the great
Yeah.
episodes of TV. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
One more question, and then we wrap it up right there.
Hello, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Which show would be the best crossover for this show?
Which show would be the
crossover of this show?
What would you like to cross over with?
I mean,
Silicon Valley is right after. I think that'd be kind of...
I suppose. What have I thought about it. Oh, no, I thought Mozart in the Jungle.
What?
Because when I really think they killed it on their 3rd season, it was like so tight and beautiful. But, and then it's like my own personal,
Probably esoteric TV show to reference.
Well, I have...
Caroline in the City.
I have esoteric... Well, it's still on the air. But anyway, yeah, but I have esoteric tastes. And it's, classical music is one of those esoteric tastes. But no, I don't know. I think that... I really did think about that one day, though, because I just thought, well, you don't want to do another political show because it's just too many politics. And it's like, well, what's like another industry kind of look into an industry, but it's a different industry. And, you could actually have, like, Selena show up to, like, the New York Philharmonic concert and, like, and, like, she could hate it and she could be like, this is so boring, but, like, you know what I mean?
Like an episode where Selena and all of her employees are kind of going to see a show, but there's crises while they're there,
or like
they're there.
Or they're playing at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
And, like, so that we all have to put up with appearances and pretend that, like, they obviously, it probably aside from Kent, nobody actually understands the music or likes the music, but
someone has to keep getting up
and
to
then maybe
leave
Kent
and
is
notice.
like really starstruck. Yeah, to meet
great.
the maestro, and then, that would be fun. We did it, guys.
So wait, how many episodes are left of Veep this season? How many do we have left?
8, 9, 10, 3.
3 episodes left. Sunday nights at 10:30.
10:30.
10:30. Anna Chlumsky, everybody. Thank you so much, Anna.